So this chapter of Eden Zero had a lot of revelations, but I guess revelations insofar as it confirms certain things that I'm not quite sure what the meaning is behind some of them. Let me get into the chapter and maybe my stance will be a little bit more clear. So we have a little bit of them talking with Captain Connor a little, where they're trying to convince him to tell them the location of Ziggy's manufacturing planet. They let him know that they've been going from world to world, liberating planets that Ziggy has invaded and taken over. Their whole purpose is to defeat Ziggy, something that really takes Captain Connor a little off guard. He's really shocked by their resolve, and he tells them, after a little bit of consideration, lets them know that it's a planet called Lendard, basically a perpetual motion machine, which is fascinating, and I honestly kind of feel like it should have been obvious he was there. It's just like a machine world, essentially, that's constantly in motion or something like that. Yeah, that feels like that would have been Area 1 you'd go to find Ziggy, but it is what it is. We also have Rebecca discussing things with Noah, we know that Noah knows about the various different worlds that Rebecca has been through, universes, so on and so forth. And so she's trying to kind of suss out the situation with Captain Connor, why things are so different with him for a third time around. And when she asks what world they currently are in, Noah lets her know that they are in world 416, meaning that in general, Rebecca has used her cat leaper ability even ever so slightly 416 times. In the grand scheme of things, that is not as much as it could have been, but that's still a great amount. And while Rebecca feels a little bit apprehensive that she's needed to use her ability that much, Noah tells her, look, this is your ability. This is your weapon to fight with. You can't really avoid using that power. And, it makes sense. Like, I get that you're a little apprehensive about how that feels, but you have no other way of fighting your fight. It's either this or bury your head in the sand and do nothing. So it makes a lot of sense to me when Noah puts it in those terms. But Noah also has a little bit of additional information for Rebecca to kind of help her understand the exact nature of her ability, as he's figured out there are two major ways that her ability works. The more common and easier to use version of her ability is reverse. She's able to go back about 90 seconds in time. First used it when she was a little girl. That's why Happy ended up being run over and not Rebecca, and she only solidly learned to use it during the whole Sun Jewel arc. Noah explains that usually with that ability, it's minute changes, so it doesn't really affect the timeline too much. It's a minor ripple in time that eventually the universe just goes back to where it was essentially going to go. Nothing too big changes except Rebecca. However, when she uses the second ability of Cat Leaper that just completely rewinds everything on a massive scale, it's actually not that it rewinds things. It's more like it transports her to a parallel universe. And Noah defines it that the world where Shiki died to Draken was Universe 1, the universe where they beat Draken is Universe 2, and currently, and this takes Rebecca by surprise, and us as well, I would assume, we're currently in Universe 3, which really shakes Rebecca. The funny thing is, it's kind of suggested that the choice that Shiki made went differently originally. The choice that ultimately ended in Witch's death. At least that's what I'm getting from the way this is laid out that ultimately Shiki chose the other path and it ended in the death of everyone aboard of the every member of the crew of Eden Zero. But the strange thing is, can felt that, 3 years ago, right before Nero 66 was destroyed, he had the feeling that they used her power to escape certain death. But oddly enough, Rebecca has no memory of that change. So apparently, Shiki choosing to try to stop the destruction of Nero 66 would have gotten them all killed. But it's weird that Ziggy seems to have knowledge of that difference, but calls that the wrong choice. What happened in the previous world, which we would refer to as world number 30, or universe 2, that would have just instantaneously cause Rebecca to maybe subconsciously activate Cat Leaper? Probably very similar to when she was a child and had no real memory of it. It's perplexing, but Noah doesn't have all the details. He just knows a lot of people suddenly shifted in their location and time. So it has to be her ability, right? Unless someone else has some other version of Cat Leaper. And Noah reaffirms to Rebecca, yeah, if you had not used your ability previously, all of you must have died. You, Shiki, everyone you know. And so that really kind of solidifies that there was no way to save Witch. It was either her or everyone. At least that's what I'm getting from this chapter. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But as to the situation with Captain Connor, that is the really fascinating thing, because there's such sweeping changes when it comes to him. The first universe, where the Edens 1 wrecked and he was adrift at sea, well, in the Sakura cosmos. Universe 2, where he was the captain of the Edens 1. And now Universe 3, where he escaped from the robot factory. Like, these changes are far too drastic. Like, was he not aboard the Edens 1 during that assault on Granbell? It raises too many questions. Man, Mashima is really playing this whole alternate universe thing really hard. And I'm wondering if he can square this circle towards the end of things, because Noah makes it clear this is how a multiverse works, and that makes sense. Rebecca going to full on different alternate worlds. Geez, if you've watched the Spider-Man movie and are getting ready for Doctor Strange, or even if you're a fan of Dragon Ball anything, especially in the direction that's been going currently, multiverse theory should not be foreign to you. If you read any comic books, DC, Marvel, or hell, even just watch like Steins Gate or something like this shouldn't be a foreign concept to you, but it is a trippy one. Especially with universes where the changes are just so minute. It's almost like Rebecca crosses over to universes that are as close to the one she originated from as possible. I would have thought the big shift would have been when she had gone into the future and saw a world where her legs had gotten cut off. But the way this is being phrased, that's not the one, which I would have thought that would have been the other shift. But aside from the whole multiversal mumbo jumbo, we see that Captain Connor is still Captain Connor, as he still has a weird tendency to teach Pino weird things. Apparently, he even taught her to say the F word, and I really do love how Wise is just like, stop teaching her weird things. And while Shiki feels that Connor isn't a bad guy, Rebecca does remember that Captain Connor, aside from being a little bit, mischievous, was generally a decent person. She also fills him in on the whole universe alterations. We also have Sister informing Elsie about planet Lendard, which of course Elsie knows about because she comes from the Kaede cosmos, which, God, I would hate to live in a universe where there's checker patterns out in the cosmos. It's weird, man. Makes it look like you're surrounded by matter and antimatter. But she's informed that, well, she lets them know that that was an industrial planet that had stopped functioning some time ago, which, I mean, again, it's pretty obvious that would have been the place where Ziggy would have made that his robot creation factory. Why nobody thought to check there is kind of beyond me. But, she lets them know that, Elsie, and her crew will head over there and burn it to the ground. And while Sister and Hermit believe that this will just weaken Ziggy's forces, Elsie seems to have this gut instinct that it's not just Ziggy's forces they'll find there, they'll find Ziggy as well. And sure enough, when we see Planet Lendard and it's churning out all the Ziggy Skull robots, we see the 4 dark stars of the Demon King, Wizard and Clown, who survived the whole situation on Nero, but also a second version of Brigadine and Killer, who look very different from their original incarnation. And the question immediately comes to my mind, like, how much stronger are these new versions of Brigadine and Killer? Because the new Brigadine, he's still beefy, but now he's got this lion's mane kind of mask. A little bit more interesting than the Gundam look that the original had. But unless Ziggy had like a backup of Brigadine, this has to be a completely new model, which, I mean, shoot, I guess it really doesn't matter too much. I mean, the original was fairly disposable, so I don't know if it really matters that this is a brand new one. And Killer too. I have to assume this one, whereas the Brigadine before was all about the strength and the beefiness, I have to assume that this new version of Killer also has great speed and all that good stuff. I don't know, the fact that he was just able to make more, which, I mean, it makes sense, he's on a robot building factory, but it really reinforces the 4 Dark Stars as being disposable. So we really just need to see them going up against the crew of Eden Zero to see how much of a threat they actually are. But now that Shiki has gained the title of a member of the Oration Says Galactica, I mean, Jaguar took down the previous Brigand and Killer fairly easily. So, I don't know. I'm kind of writing them off already, but we see Ziggy in all of his demon dark king glory, and as the 4 dark stars are thinking, okay, what planet will we go and conquer next? Ziggy's like, no, we're not going anywhere. Shiki is coming here, and we will fight him. So, I mean, it looks like we're gearing towards the final battle with Z, like, already? Like, dang. I'm gonna be honest, it feels like the past few chapters have been a fever dream. So much has happened so quickly, and in such quick succession, it's hard to kind of get my bearings on the way things have been working out and the direction that things are going in, because, I mean, this has really kind of derailed the search for Mother, but, I mean, it makes sense that it would. Just where things are going to go from here on out, your guess is as good as mine. So let me know your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. What do you think is going to happen next? I mean, we're heading into the belly of the beast. Are we going to get some real info on what the situation with Ziggy is? Is Mashima kind of trying to wrap up his story? Like, it feels like things are just happening too quickly. Like, we didn't take enough time to stop and smell the flowers. Like, Ziggy feels like too much of an end goal for us to really be going into the climax with him already. So there has to be something deeper and behind the scenes that may drive the story forward, or maybe Mashima isn't going that route. I'm very curious what people's thoughts and theories are. So again, let me know your feelings in the comment section below. If you like this video, please do all the YouTube stuff, or don't. I ain't your daddy, but I still love you like one. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I guess I'll see you in the next universe. Bye-bye.